Okay, there we go. You see it? Yes, you do. Cool. So yeah, apparently I'll be talking about IoT gateways and how we think there should be. Let me start from kind of like a small story. So this is an actual photo of my place a few years ago. You can see I had my ADSL router. I had a bridge for my connected lights. I thought it was cool at the time to have connected lights. There's another smart gateway for kind of like home alarm system. Another smart gateway in case that the other smart gateway wasn't enough. So yeah, pretty frustrating, you know, too many devices, too many gateways, too many cables. And what is more frustrating is that, you know, when you look at the IoT landscape today, you see all those vendors building IoT devices, connected devices that have different requirements. Like you need different gateways for your wearable, for your home temperature control system, for your home security system. And on top of that, as if that wasn't enough, what they do is that they collect the data and through your smartphone or another gateway, first they send the data to the cloud and then they say, okay, we can give you some visualization or we can give you access to the API. And that's totally no cool at all. So that's what we had in mind as a problem to solve. So we pitched our idea to the European Commission and they liked it and they got us funded. So here we are with Agile project. And this is who we are. So our 17 partners, many of them I met during meetups like this. So going to workshops about IoT, meeting technical people, that's how we put together the idea in the consortium. So what Agile is and what we're trying to do is that we want to bring the cloud functionality to the home, to the house, to the office environment. So we want that people can connect and can control their IoT devices, their commercial IoT devices, within their own environment, without having to go first to a cloud system or a third-party service. How do we do that? We are building a gateway that we call Agile Gateway. It's a modular gateway, both in the sense of hardware and software. So from the hardware perspective, you can plug in the different modules you need, so you can customize it and adapt it. If you need Bluetooth Low Energy for your wearables, you can snap in the Bluetooth module. If you need Zigbee or Z-Wave for your home automation devices, you can do that. On the software side, it's more or less the same. So you can download from an open marketplace the modules that you need, and you can have support for anything you need. You can store the data locally. So first you connect the devices, you can have the data locally, you don't need to put them to a cloud and worry about privacy anymore. And then you can run applications. So you can have data visualizations, you can have graphs and cool things like that. You can also build your own application. So we provide a very easy to use interface where even if you're not a very super duper embedded programmer, you can also deploy your logic. So you can define when your lights can go on in the morning or your coffee machine can start working 5 minutes before your alarm clock and things like that in a very easy way. And last but not least, we want to allow people to share the data in a trusted way with the people they trust in a way they can control who can have access and who and how they can revoke the access. We use a lot of cool technologies. We are fully open source, 100% open source to the technologies that we use, but also the technologies and the modules that we built. Who has ever used Docker before? Or do you know Docker? Awesome. So we are using and we are building Docker containers on the gateway itself. So we have a demo, you can see it in one of those tables. There are like 10 different Docker containers enabling functionality from getting data. Oh, it's over there actually. So yeah, we have a Docker container for Bluetooth Low Energy, a Docker container for Zigbee, and everything like that. So yeah, we can talk about it later. We also have very interesting and cool use cases from wearables. We are a big fan of wearables, but we want people to have totally control and ownership of the data. So using open source hardware, you can collect the data about your activity and everything else and first store it on the gateway. We have pilots that concern things like monitoring of open areas. We have a cool pilot, actually 2 pilots, about putting the gateway on a drone and having the drone fly over sensors that can be on fixed locations or mobile sensors. Like for example, we put the sensor on animals and we track their locations and how they behave in the wild and things like that. And also we have a very cool test bed that is consists of around 2,500 sensors in different locations in France. So if you want to play with sensors and collect data but you don't own any sensors, in the near future we'll be able to use Agile and connect and do that very easily. We already have very cool partnerships because people realize that a modular and adaptive gateway like this one is something very useful. So we have startups or small organizations approaching us, learning more about the gateway and how to use it. One of the coolest is the IPDB Foundation, which is behind the BigChainDB. The BigChainDB is a decentralized database based on blockchain. So one of the applications that we're going to use is when you have your data from your wearables and you want to share them with someone, you can do that over the blockchain, which is really cool. And why we are here, because we need also to collaborate with you people in many different ways. So first of all, we are fully open source. I'm going to give you the link to our GitHub. We already have the components and the Docker containers and all the interface that we are building. They're open source and they're already published there, so you can download them and use them. And of course, as all the other projects, we have open calls. So what we're going to do, we're going to fund up to 16 startups with around 50K maximum each to extend the gateway or build interesting and cool applications based on the Agile Gateway. We also have a competition for artists. So if you are a very creative person, we have this competition that is already running. It's called Adaptation. You can find the link down there, here on the right. And we want to use Agile and IoT technologies to visualize what is IoT and how you can use it to do interactivity to the people. And we want to do that through the art. So there's an open call for artists. Submission is by end of November. And we're going to do the presentation and the whole project next year in July in Berlin. Information about the open calls, I'm sure Kathleen and the rest have told you about. You can go on the iotpi.eu link and find all the information about all the projects that do open calls and provide funding. And yeah, also, other than the funding, we also have very good collaboration with Startup Bootcamp. So if you're a startup and you apply for Agile and you win, aside the money, you're going to get also free mentorship from Startup Bootcamp, which is really cool. So if you want to learn more, here's the link to our website, as I mentioned before, our GitHub account. And yeah, stay in touch. Follow us on Twitter as well, and feel free to reach us for any questions. And yeah, we got the demo over there. So there is Fabio with the modular gateway and the Docker containers. And you can see it working, and you can see also a very cool visual interface that we're having. And that was it from my side. So Philippe, thank you.